Ever wondered why another person's apology doesn't seem sincere? Or why someone feels you aren't actually sorry? Even in the best of relationships, all of us make mistakes. We do and say things we later regret and often hurt the person we love the most. Of course, we need to make things right. But simply saying we are sorry usually isn't enough. What do we do then? Hola everyone, welcome back to BooksDotCom with me Subhashini. Being the Christmas week, I am here with When Sorry Isn't Enough, an inspiring practical handbook by Dr. Gary Chapman and Jennifer Thomas. I first discovered the 5 love languages, which I recommend to anyone as it will immediately improve relationship issues. So I thought I would give this book a go as well, because today's book is co-written by the same #1 New York Times best-selling author, and it was titled The 5 Languages of Apology before being revised and updated to When Sorry Isn't Enough. Married more than 45 years to Carolyn, Dr. Gary Chapman is just the man to turn to for help on improving or healing our most important relationships. His own life experiences plus over 40 years of pastoring and marriage counseling led him to publish his first book, which is The 5 Love Languages. What I love about all of Gary Chapman's relationship books is how practical they are. When Sorry Isn't Enough very much copies the format of Chapman's most read above mentioned book, but instead covers the 5 languages of apologies. In this book, skilled authors Gary Chapman and Jennifer Thomas go through the different types of apologies, how to find your apology language and that of your loved ones, and how to deal with other consequences in life when people hurt you. Forgiveness, trust, and counseling are also addressed in this book. The author duo not only explain why some apologies don't seem sincere, but also how you can ensure you need to apologize and it will be accepted. Here you will discover how meaningful apologies provide the power to make your friendship, family, and marriage stronger than ever before. Lots of relationships go from bad to worse because one or both people refuse to admit their mistakes. Even if someone is willing to apologize, they don't know how to do it in a way that's meaningful to the other person. Everyone has a language for apology that resonates with them, and we often are in communion with people whose languages for apology differs from our own. Remember, apologies are not about what you're comfortable saying. Apologies are what the other person needs to hear. The first half of the book is on how to apologize and the second is on how to forgive. If you have read or listened to Chapman before, then you would know that God always has a part in his books. I don't find that to be offensive, but that's just a heads up for the unaware. They use Christian scriptures and values to justify many of the concepts discussed. This may put off non-Christians. It isn't overbearing. There certainly isn't an attempt to convert anyone, and this isn't a theology book as well. It's a practical how-to book. You'll find it's written from a Christian worldview, but Thomas and Chapman mainly draw on their years of counseling experience. They are out to tell you how to put that knowledge to practical use. They had a lot of stories with couples, singles, young and old, family and friends to give a wide scope of how these principles work. I found the life experience aspect a refreshing inclusion. But the language of apology is such a basic need to get through this life that I advise you to take the good information and don't be put off by what doesn't resonate with you. If you want a positive response to an apology, well, who doesn't? We should understand what an apology looks like to that person and frame ours accordingly. It does a great job of breaking down an apology into its component parts and explains how certain parts may be more important to the person you're apologizing to and what needs to be said so they'll understand you're sincere. Apologies come in different forms and different people prefer different ways to reconcile. Some people prefer to hear "I'm sorry," that is, just a regret for their action, while others want to hear their offender specifically admit that they are wrong. That's admitting responsibility. Still others want someone to commit to repentance, that is, they want to hear a sense of remorse, or want them to commit to specific behavioral changes going forward. Then there is restitution. That's being compensated. It's either giving a reassurance of love or allowing to punish the other for what he has done. Finally, some people like to be asked for forgiveness. It means the power to pardon based on consideration for their feelings. Mostly the apology you often use is one you like to hear. This book gives you lots of examples and wording for each of the apology languages. But don't read this book if you're merely looking for a set of words to say to get someone off your back. That's not the point. Genuine apology opens the door to the possibility of forgiveness and reconciliation, the author says. If that's your goal, then this is your book. Some concepts were incredibly healing, and my most favorite one was the chapter on forgiving ourselves. The author Dio explained that it's not wrong to want justice, as long as you handle that desire righteously. Nor does forgiveness mean that your memory is wiped off the event. Nor should you allow people to manipulate you with poor and insincere apologies. And nor should you implode and refuse to forgive yourself. If I had anything to object, then I would say the example of the daughter who approaches her father for apology who had physically abused her. She is the victim of one of the ugliest crimes committed by someone who should love and protect her, but she has to go apologize. It's controversial and utterly disappointed me as it implicitly blames the victim for her reaction and consequent feelings. But then, I don't think I'm in a position to judge her or the authors for reporting the case. Another thing that bothered me was the cheating husband is forgiven by his Christian wife. That goes strongly against my principles and against my definitions of integrity, self-respect, and dignity. Narrative-wise, the writing was too lengthy for me. The author always used situations to describe what he wanted to say. More to-the-point writing interspersed with some situations would have been nicer, but most of this book was just a lot of situations. Forgiveness is something all people struggle with. If this subject was approached from a wider angle by minimizing the religion's part in forgiveness, more people might pick this up. I personally had never given much thought to the right way to apologize, or that someone may expect something in an apology that I do not. When sorry isn't enough is enlightening in that respect and a good reminder to think about who you're apologizing to and not just what you're thinking and feeling. This book has given me insight not only into my expectations of what constitutes an apology, but also the fact that not everyone has the same apology language. I now understand how critical it is to be aware of the apology language spoken by others. It was an easy-to-read book with helpful questions to ponder at the end of each chapter. I recommend that couples read this book together, or at the least, take the apology language test provided in the book or online. Frankly, everyone can benefit from gaining some insights on the art of apologizing. All said, Chapman strikes again with an explanatory scheme and a model of action by which many difficult situations can be dealt with in relationships. If you struggle to apologize and or have a relationship that has suffered damage which you would like to heal, then give this book a try. Oftentimes, the way you give an apology is your personal language. So, think of the last one you gave and what you said. I'll catch you up soon next year. Hope you liked my review. Follow Books.com for more positive and captivating book reviews. Please do share your thoughts and comments about this book with me on my YouTube channel or write to me at books.com by Subhashini@gmail.com. You can follow our Instagram page for more updates. Thank you for staying tuned till the end. See you in the next episode of Books.com. Till then, sayonara and wish you a very happy new year.